Breivik. Snyder. Taylor.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
DeKreiger.
Here.
Wendover.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? Let's do an approval of the agenda. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments?
Vote on the agenda real quick.
We did.
We just
Oh.
did, yeah.
We just did.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean.
No.
It was unanimous.
Dean,
Yeah.
nominated it.
I motioned and then seconded.
Jill seconded.
Thank you.
So did Ed, so
Okay, and we don't have any public comments because no public here.
No.
So now we just need to talk about the minutes from January 13th. Are there any edits, changes to the minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no public hearings, no new business. Cobb and Mitchell Building, update.
Fill you in. It's not going to take long, but I'll fill you in. Real quick. The gentleman from Mitchell Lake was contacted, and he came up and saw Owen himself. Jerry was not there that afternoon, so I met with him also. Basically, it was a nice meeting. The guy was, basically Owen just talked to him about the back taxes and so forth. He had not been, as we all know, but he hadn't been getting regular statements. But now he had, Owen was on top of it. He did not bring a check to the meeting, but he told Owen, he said, let me look at it, get back with you. He said, and let's try and work out something. He said, I know I can't pay it all right now, but let's, so he did get back with Owen. Owen was assertive, but he wasn't threatening, but he definitely let the guy go, know that, the ones that were 3 years back really needed to get taken care of ASAP. So he got back with Owen, and whatever he and Owen agreed on, he made his payment as he was supposed to. I know we're not going to get monthly payments, but I know he's going to make more payments, and Owen was, like I said, he was assertive. He said, this is not something that we want to, he said, it's not an exercise we want to go through every year. This needs to be.
What is the amount that's in arrears?
It was, I believe, around $19,000 for 3 years.
And that brought it up to what date, Mike?
Well, that was 3 years. That was 3 years.
The full 3 years.
The
And
full
so now
3
he's
years.
currently current as of...
No. He made a payment.
He paid
a
most
payment.
recent.
He made a
And we don't know
payment.
how much that payment is.
I know, I believe it was substantial, because Owen was assertive in that, hey, this is not something where...
You've got to get out of the third year.
We've got to get out of that now, and then we've got to keep getting payments on the other stuff. He was assertive. He said, we cannot go through this exercise year after year.
So he
And
set up on a payment plan.
he verbally definitely set up a schedule for that. And
Okay.
he did make his scheduled payment. I mean, I know he did that.
The first one.
Yeah. I don't even ask how much because I don't work in the finance department, but just based on the fact that the person got back with Owen like he did and made it, it's just, to me, it's a very, very positive move. And
Yeah.
I know that Owen will let me know if he does or does not make the next payment.
Okay, I guess that's kind of the question.
Owen will definitely let me know, and I will let you know if he does or does not. And I don't
There's
know
no
if it's-
agreement in writing.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Do we know now that it is entirely the city and not the county that will collect these taxes?
We are going to collect the taxes.
There was
yes.
confusion
Oh,
about that.
there's no
Explain what
confusion
happened
now.
now.
There's no confusion now. Basically, you've got 2 properties in the city out of roughly 4,500 to 5,000 different properties in the city. all but 2 of them, once they're more than a few months old, are collected by the county.
And the reason for that is because it's an Oprah property, is that correct?
Exactly, and it just,
It should have been done by the city, not the
due
county.
to the fact
because it
that
was
we
Oprah.
had not, it's basically, if I'm not mistaken, it's a relatively, it's a new thing. I mean, as far as the city being involved in it. And it just flat out slipped through the cracks. Now that we know, there's no question that, you know, this one and the other one, you know, they're going to get regular statements now. I mean, there's this, you know, it just flat out slipped through the cracks. And, you know, I think it's being taken care of properly. And I was just very enthused that when I sat in on the meeting, he said he would get back with Owen. He did, and he has made a scheduled payment. I mean, it's a move in the positive direction, in my opinion.
I agree, I think it's a positive move. I guess I'd still, I mean, I just hope it's not a token payment.
I don't believe it was. I don't believe it was.
And I'd like to know.
I will ask.
We're going to be.
Oh, I mean, I don't see any reason why I can't find out how much it was for and get back to you, but that's what you want.
I think the big question is, going forward from this point on, how much is he in arrears, and at what point is he going to be in danger of being on the tax rolls? You know,
Well,
and give us
That
a
would
deadline.
probably, as far as delinquent, I mean, you know, I can't, I mean, I assume would be no different than the county, you know, and I don't know. Go ahead.
I talked to Owen about this. When the tax delinquency list came out, the first thing I looked for was to see if it was on it. It was not on it.
Yep.
So I went to the county, and there was some confusion over who was to collect these at that point. In talking to Owen, one of the other difficulties we have here is the way the property was assessed or put on the rolls as an assessment at the time it was transferred from the city. All of the value was attributed to the building, not to the real estate for the amount. And the problem with that is that did not automatically trigger them an alert. So that's one reason, certainly in defense, that the city had not heard where this was. Okay. But it also meant that the tax bills had not been sent to them, which legally puts the city in a different position. Okay? As of last Wednesday, they have owned the building for 4 full years, and no taxes were paid until this was recent payment, which we don't know the amount.
Right.
I think it's way too little too late for us to believe that this is a serious effort. In addition to that, as we realized from our discussion with them a year ago, the brownfield tax credit expires in December of this year. Have they applied for any permits for work to be done on the building?
As far as permits that the city would have to sign off on?
Right, for the brownfield
No.
we have? Okay.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, that work has to be completed
Right.
by December 22nd of this year, or they lose the brownfield tax credit.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
Probably gonna lose that.
$185,834, which is 44% of the building's asking price, which they say is based upon the tax credits that come with it. Which means that if they lose 44% of that price, it's going to be real difficult to sell that building.
If they lose 44% of that value.
if they lose 44% of that value.
Right.
Right, as a tax credit. And I think that those,
See this?
yeah, that was.
Yeah, I have this, I just don't.
Okay.
And I can make copies of that.
Oh, that's all right. I just don't have it with me.
Okay.
Yeah, you've obviously researched it more than I have.
Well, this was my concern, and I was hoping that we would get more progress from them. Technically, I believe the city has some legal options now because of the tax situation. But that's something that obviously the city ought to check with its attorneys on, and I don't know if Owen has. I think under our obligations to the city for the Historic District Commission, it's clear in my mind that after 4 years, the building is vacant, has not been sold, is about to lose 44% of its tax credits, and is over 3 years behind on taxes. In my mind, that puts the building in jeopardy. And our obligation is to notify the city when we feel that that is the case. And it isn't going to get better, I don't think, in the next few months. You know, notifying the city council a month before the tax credits expire is not going to give them time to move.
I feel that losing the brownfield tax credits and probably eventually the federal tax credits is a symptom of him not being able to get financing, obviously, and start the work and get the work completed, because neither of those tax credits can you claim until after the work is done. So it's one of those deals where you've got to have some kind of interim financing, which he claims he's trying to get or tried to get and has tried to get and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's the essence of the problem.
Right.
I think the only thing, and I don't know how you can speak to the fact that it's vacant as being that it's deteriorated to the point that I think we can be alarmed. I mean, if we were alarmed at every vacant building, it would be nonstop. It'd be a constant issue. I think that they've paid their city tax, their utility bills. We know the utilities are on, so we know that we don't, have running water in the building someplace. We know there's not a hole in the roof. We know there's no windows open. I think when that was written in the historic district ordinance, it was written for buildings that were dangerous and a threat to the community, maybe safety-wise, hazard-wise, or that the building was deteriorating so quickly, so fast, because it was open to the elements, that we needed to get in there and do something, if nothing else, to stabilize it, mothball it, do something. Don't see that happening here. I don't think that was the intent of the ordinance. That's not to say, so I think it's stretching it a little bit, but I think the tax issue is a serious one, and that's the one that I do think we probably need more definitive answers. How far in arrears are they, and at what point, how many concessions is the city allowed to give a property owner? And should there be a payment plan in place that's in writing? And would that be more concrete here for everybody? I think it would be. I thought maybe it had been in writing. But, I think, to me, the tax issue is a serious one.
Oh, I agree. I agree, it's serious.
Is there a reason why they can't get anything in writing?
Well, my own personal opinion from being in business for 35 years is, unless it's a bank or I'm borrowing money, I wouldn't sign something like that. Obviously, if you borrow money from a bank, you're going to have to do that. But as far as something like this, I don't know, but I'm just thinking of myself. I don't think I would do it.
But if you risk losing at a tax sale,
Right.
I don't understand.
Right.
They're keeping him, are they not keeping him from going on the tax sale then? Is the city like stepping in front of this? Are they keeping them off of the tax sale with this payment plan?
I don't.
Yes.
I don't,
Well, that's-
I mean,
that's my
that's
question.
interpreted, I guess my opinion,
Well, we need to get those
Yeah, my
facts.
opinion is because of the fact that it just flat out fell through the cracks.
They have some responsibility.
They, yeah, there's a certain,
Maybe.
you know, I mean,
Right.
there's no question that this should have been handled prior months, year, you know what I'm saying? And I guess that was, my opinion is that's more the intent, like you would want to work with any property owner. You know, all of us own property in this town, in this area, and, you know, you want to, you know, I mean, as a property owner, I would want someone to work with me. I mean, I don't have, obviously, the answer you're looking for, but these are questions that can be asked.
Yeah.
Well, these are questions that we have been asking, and unfortunately, we haven't met in 3 months after these were raised in January. I don't think the city is in a position at the moment legally that it should have been in. And it would be helpful, I think, if this commission simply put the city council on alert that we are concerned about the future of this building. I think that's exactly in accordance with the Historic District Commission charge. I mean, I have no problem saying I'm concerned for it. We're not saying that we want to seize it or anything like that. But there might be other things that the city can do to help, and possibly, for all we know, the city would put it on the tax roll. In which case, at least there would be other opportunities for some use of the building that might work, or maybe the city itself would want to take it over. And I think if our commission brings it officially to the city council's attention, then we've put it on the table. And they could then say to Owen Roberts, Owen, we need a more definitive agreement, we need to check with the city attorney about what our legal position is. Without that, this is just going to drag on for another 3 months, and the tax credits are going to begin to expire. And unfairly, taxes have not been paid.
Realistically, we're at a point where those tax credits are going to expire anyway. There's no way they're going to.
I don't think they're
they
gonna
don't have
take
any.
advantage of it,
They don't have any
period.
design work done. There's no way they're
No,
going to.
they're gonna
They're
expire.
behind the
It's
curve.
gonna
It's
happen.
impossible now.
I know, it's a
So-
shame, it's a real shame, because those were tough to get.
They're substantial.
Yeah, they're substantial.
But no, just so I understand this, the group that has this, I mean, they got it for
A
$1.
Plus they were given,
With the intent that they were going to develop it, but they're not necessarily
More-
developers.
Right, but more than that,
yeah, they are, but it's, they are,
they did get
They've
a
done
Cool
some of
Cities
that.
grant for $100,000. And according to what they gave us about the use of that, almost a third of that $100,000 went to them in consulting fees.
well, to do the National Register nomination, which had to be done in order
Okay.
to do, in order to get the federal rehabilitation tax
Mhm.
credit, for example, and filling out all that paperwork for all those grants.
Right.
Sure, I understand all that.
Yeah, that was a huge project. So yeah, some of that did. They claimed some of it went to light fixtures, you know, they did put some new lights in
And
there.
did they do,
In the basement.
in the basement area?
They painted, they refinished
I mean,
the floor.
they brought it
They've
up
done
to enough
something.
where we could throw a couple parties there.
Right. We did
We
the
actually
historical
done it.
society.
Yeah.
So
You
they've
know, they
done
got it cleaned up and
But
people
until
loved it.
they line up a user,
Right.
um,
Or less.
they're, a tenant or someone to develop it for, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, that's what this thing is all waiting on,
And
so.
if you recall the conversation that we had when he came and visited with us, and Tom Taylor was here, and he said, and he has said from the beginning, if you'll just do a few things, I think it will help. Start make plans to put the elevator in,
Right.
get an upstairs bathroom. Not that these things are simple, small things,
Right.
but show some effort in those areas, then you might have a better chance of
Right.
getting some tenants or a potential buyer.
Well, and those are items that these tax credits could have obviously been towards.
That's
But
true.
even now to do an elevator, he's behind the curve.
Yeah.
Of course, I have until December, I guess, but
Right.
if you were to get it on now, get it designed, but even getting an elevator based on my recent experience,
I don't
elevator
think
company
you
was
have
saying,
to answer
oh,
to
it's
that.
ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
Well, and his biggest thing, obviously, is not being able to get the funding. I don't know, I
But
think,
part of that, is he's not gonna get funding if he doesn't have a user.
yeah, it's
I mean,
a
it's a
vicious cycle.
catch-22 here, because
It is.
no bank's gonna, unless he has a lease or a contract, the bank's not gonna say yeah, because he doesn't have deep enough pockets to do it.
Mhm.
And that's why, again, I'm not trying to say anything negative about him, but they are not developers. They don't have a developer's bankroll to develop it, to get it to a
Right.
point where it is.
A year ago, we knew that the taxes were behind when this was discussed. We did not bring it up at the meeting
Well,
out of deference
No,
to
no,
them.
no. Okay, possibly, but I also recall that we did verify that they were not in trouble as far as they weren't far enough behind in order to be threatened with going on the tax
The
sale.
third year would have been this tax sale that came out, right? So they, in essence, technically, they should have been on that tax roll, or the question should have been called in January of this year. So I think we were trying to help them. I'm sure they maybe didn't feel that way, because they didn't want to be examined as to what their intents were.
Right.
And no, we're not saying that their pockets are deep enough or anything else, because
Right.
we don't know.
Right.
But I think we do know enough from both the lack of progress and the expiring tax credits and the tax situation. We do know enough for the Historic District Commission to say, we are concerned about the building, and we should notify the city council to that effect.
If it goes to tax sale, anybody can buy it at whatever dollar and do whatever they want with it.
Well, they can't tear
No.
it down, they can't do anything, because they would have to come to
Right.
HDC for approval, so there's some control over that. But yeah, that's a possibility. It may not be the worst alternative.
Well, realistically, looking at it from the other point of view, these guys are not gonna put another penny into this, they don't have to, because they know they're gonna lose it. And they got it for $1, they're 30 grand in the hole, but that came from a grant already, so they're, I don't see them putting a red cent into this thing if they're gonna walk away from it. Right? Am I off base?
Well,
No, I'd say that's,
and with nothing in writing from them about the plans,
Yeah,
then we have nothing here.
yeah. To be honest, it is interesting that they made a tax payment. That kind of surprises me, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily let that go and let it go for tax sale.
Yeah,
I think they did that because they know they were getting called on the question. And in my mind, we need to,
yeah, but again, all that this commission can do is say, hey, city council, just so you're aware. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
That's fine,
but I think we should do that.
Sure.
okay.
but I don't think, we're gonna have to talk hard about the wording, because I have some issues with saying that we're upset that it's vacant. I don't, we're gonna have to offer more substantial concern than that. I don't feel that that's something that warrants, like I said, if we did that for every commercial property owner, I think that's not a solid enough reason for us to get concerned.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but as a city council member, to look at it as a city council member, what does it going on the tax sale, how does that negatively affect the city?
I don't know. I don't know that
That's my question, if we bring this to
It
city
does not,
council.
it does not. My understanding is that payments have, there may be, based on what Owen said, and I haven't heard the final figure, but there may be a situation where the city already has been paid a payment from the county tax sale from the last 2 years. In fact, I believe that has happened.
You mean on this property?
On this property. This property was included, according to Owen, in the, would be 2013 roll check to the city from the county. Again, I think that's where part of the confusion was, Mike, of, you know, who was pursuing this. Nan, to your comment on the vacancy, I agree that, you know, vacancy is not in and of itself an issue, but that it has remained vacant for 4 years, and still for sale for 4 years. I mean, nothing has happened to the building in 4 years, and we can leave out the vacancy if you want, but I think we need, on the basis of the delinquency on the taxes and the expiring tax credits, we need to raise a flag to the city council. And I think that's justification to do that.
How does everybody else feel about that?
I agree that we need to probably give some notice. I mean, we should be conscientious about how we word it, but based on what I was just saying, I mean, I guess I don't see it as a comparison, kind of like a mall cop situation where we're just observing and reporting. Here's what we've been discussing and observing. We're reporting it to you. We're forwarding it to you. Then it's up to the city to decide what steps they want to take, what information they want to gather. We're not trying to sway them one way or another, but under the auspices of what we are here to do, we're merely reporting. This is what we've observed, gathered, and worked on. If they came back and asked us for an opinion or recommendation, we could discuss as a commission what we wanted to say conscientiously, but to just be able to say, this is what we've observed, we want you to be notified, you still have some time to think about your steps.
And submit it to a city council meeting as a correspondence item, basically.
Correct.
I don't think this will anybody getting up there and talking about it anymore, because we're not there to answer questions.
It's a memo.
And realistically,
Communication.
it could be as simple as just pointing out the fact that the tax credits expire at the end, and that's really what we need to point out.
And that no permits have been submitted for that work.
Right, and that, I mean, that in itself should,
That's it.
and maybe not comment at all on anything
Yeah,
else.
that should just
Well, I
be
think
there.
the tax situation has to be mentioned.
Yeah, I guess we can. The thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is that is something the city's already dealing with them on. And I don't know all those ins and outs, what those discussions were and what they've been made, but I'm hesitant to step on their feet on that.
Well, is it
I don't think we're stepping
making
on
sure
their
that
feet.
one, like everyone's talking to each other, you know? Is it just making sure, even though one department of the city is working on it, is the council, I mean, that,
Mike,
I don't know.
What do you have to say about that?
Are they fully aware? Do they know?
Do you think they would know? Would they be aware of it? Is this something that should be?
I mean, what you're saying, I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable, you know, to bring it to the attention. I mean, obviously, it's an issue that matters to this group, and this group is, you know, you're here for a reason.
Right.
You know, you're here for a reason. And as Glenn said, it's, you know, raising a red flag, or I think you said. And, you know, I guess I would have to say, you folks have a strong opinion about it. You know, I would say, like you had mentioned, word it properly, and maybe amongst yourselves, just kind of, you know what I'm saying, Dean obviously has some concerns about the tax. I'll try and find out how much it was. I mean, I will find out how much it was.
What exactly maybe our concern should be just what we know. not so much what we think is, you know, we know that he's worked something out with them, he's explained that to us. We don't have the details on that. It's not in writing, so maybe we can't speak a lot to that, but how about the fact that it's here as of, you know,
It's not listed.
It's not listed.
it's not listed there.
Why?
But we knew, well, that, again, you're kind of chasing your tail a little bit, because then we know that they haven't paid any taxes, and we know that that was in there,
And then,
Yeah,
yeah,
back to
it
square
just
one.
fell through the cracks, clearly.
And that's fine. I don't think we're interested in that.
well, I've got to know how to, address the tax issue so that we feel like we're at least putting it out there on the table.
Just say that we're aware that the city has a verbal agreement for them
They payments.
to make payments, and if
Well,
maybe,
we're not aware of that. We've not received a memo of that.
we're aware of it right now.
We've gotten a verbal, we've been
Okay.
told verbally that
But we don't know what that is.
No.
No.
No, but
And I don't
that's
know
all
why.
we could
Right.
say.
And I don't know.
You know, that's the whole point,
Yeah.
that's all we can
Sure.
say, is that's
Maybe
why we're
it's
concerned.
something that is simple as, we have concerns on the status of the tax payments and how they'll be resolved.
That's exactly what I was
Wording,
thinking.
Concerns.
Perfect.
And not
Yeah.
go into much detail on it. Or maybe what we need to say is, it is our recommendation that the city may need to be concerned about it.
I think the word "we have concerns" is
Okay.
a good way of addressing that.
And then the same with the brownfield
Right.
tax credits expired.
Yeah.
When the owner told us that the value of the building was based upon the level of the
Right.
tax credits, and that no work for, no permits for work had been submitted.
I mean, I don't, yeah, it's, I think using the words "your concerns" of those three issues is,
I think I would like to put this together, and I'd like to, because I think it's tough for the city to do this. I think this is something that's got to come from the HCC.
Oh, I think so too.
So let me do this, and I don't know if this is the correct protocol or not. Can I put something together and email it out to everybody for their review and input? Is this something that we could do by email?
I don't, well, first of all, we can't vote on it except at a public meeting. And so to vote on it at a public meeting, you know, if we put this off another month, is, in my mind, ridiculous. I mean, this isn't going to get better. And we might as well hammer out, thrash out the wording right now, and send a notice to the city,
Well, I think we can do it. I think we can do it.
okay?
and my only question is obviously, you know, as far as the wording of it, I don't know, and you would know more than I do if you have to vote on that versus just making a motion and voting that you want to, you know,
Well, the
be
motion
involved in
has,
a council communication on the status of,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I
And
think we can just,
I
Can we
don't
not
have an
make,
answer
can we
for
not
that.
make a motion that says we would like Nan to put together a memo that says we have concerns about the tax status? We want the city council to be aware that the tax credits will be expiring in...
some will be expiring by the end of the
By the
year.
end of the year,
And
and we
no
have
permits have
seen
been
no
pulled.
application for permits. And is that...
I don't think we need to instruct Nan to do that. I think the motion itself speaks for that. That we are concerned
But we want
that
Nan to
is
write it
happening.
up.
But
We want Nan to
someone
write
has
it
to
up.
take, okay, I see, you're saying make the motion and then just
Make the
simply have our
motion and the
minutes, have the
motion goes
minutes
to
presented
the
to
city
city council.
council.
Oh, okay, that's fine too.
That's it. That's,
So moved.
and,
That's
and,
fine.
okay, let's try and work out, because Nan has some concerns about the wording. Let's try and work out the wording of the motion. And I think the other thing it should do is reference Nan's memo that was written following the meeting in 2013, because that will have a lot of the background for the city council.
Mhm.
Fair enough?
I wonder if you want to include that.
Sure, we'll include this with it.
That might not be a bad idea. This explains, this is a good summary of all of the tax credits.
should we run a copy of this for everybody right now?
I can do that.
Can we do that?
Yeah, that's
Why don't we
fine.
take a minute to do that, and maybe we can, if,
Yep.
Madam Chair, can we take a couple minutes to do
Yep.
that?
Okay.
And maybe we could string together the wording, so
Yeah.
we all agree on that?
That's
Well,
fine.
Can we do it just like in bullet points and keep it simple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
Okay. While I'm doing this, I brought this, I didn't know if any of you wanted it. This is, I believe, the most recent marketing information from the
Good.
Signature Realty that
Good.
actually is listing the property.
At least they did fix the wall.
And we have that.
Yeah.
And I will make copies of this, and I'll actually make, I'll make some, so,
Good.
yeah, it'll take me just a minute.
Yeah, I think we can keep this.
This was what, the sort of approach I was looking at.
Spend more time on it, but it was terrible time. I mean, this was in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, the economy tanked.
And the economy tanked, and this guy, and frankly, there were some bankers that were here locally that had verbally told him that there might be some opportunities for financing
Mhm.
locally. That didn't work out for whatever reason. So I think, you know, I see that I have to give a pass in some areas because things didn't work together for him. But I think it was total shoestring opportunity from the beginning. And then when you add these extra issues, I think it made it very, very difficult. But doesn't change the fact that they're behind in their taxes and we're not getting anywhere with a very important building. I think I'd prefer to say something right off the bat about this being a very significant building historically and architecturally. It's not the most important building in Cadillac. It's right up in the top couple. And the old City Hall and the Carnegie Library, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our concern is based on that fact,
Right.
that we want to see this building be preserved and be utilized. And I think we need to start it off with that. I think that's very important, because that's our charge.
Okay. I tried to sit down and look at a way to explain it to the council so that they would have enough information to get a feel for what we're looking at. And I'd be happy to turn this into a motion. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, I think it's a little longer than what we need, but go ahead.
Well, we're happy to make any changes we want. After a year of study and watching by the Cadillac Historic District Commission, we are concerned about the future of the Consummate Building, one of the city's most historic landmarks. Although the building was purchased for $1 by Michelin Corporation on April 9, 2010, no taxes have been paid on the building in 4 years, according to City and Wexford County records. As of this HDC meeting, April 14th, that is 4 full years, neither governmental entity had begun tax collection efforts until the HDC brought this to their attention in January. The building is not listed in the annual tax sale. At the HDC meeting of April 8, 2013, the building owners were invited to attend. They said the sale price for the building was based in part on a transferable tax credit, one of which is the Brownfield tax credit totaling $185,834. According to Chair Taylor's research, that Brownfield tax credit expires December 22nd, 2014, and that the work must be completed by that date. According to the city, no application for work permits have yet been submitted by the building owners as of today, April 14, 2014. Obviously, the building, which remains vacant and unsold, we can leave out, which remains, we'll say, unsold, will be less economically feasible without the tax credit that amounts to 44% of the building's asking sale price.
Okay, yeah, without the ground floor tax credit. And you have to specify that, because I got so many other tax credits in here.
Okay. Therefore, the HDC, under the Historic Resources Ordinance, hereby alerts the City Council that it believes the Cobb Mitchell building is in economic jeopardy. Under the city ordinances, the city is urged to examine any and all possibilities to facilitate securing this historic treasure. I put up to and including possible city ownership and development, but we can leave that out if you want.
I don't think the city's ever gonna own it again.
Well, are we going
don't.
past, what we're making recommendations?
We're
I'm
not
sure.
making, no, we're not making any recommendation. We're saying they should urge to examine any and all possibilities.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Depending how you want to do a motion or how you want to communicate with council, do you want me to just include that letter as an attachment to minutes? And put in there that I've read this. I don't...
Well, just hold on,
Yes.
let's hammer it out first. I think we need to
Yeah.
hammer it out.
I
and then
think
we get
that's
to
a
your
better,
ordinance.
I think that's a
Yeah.
better idea. If the HDC does not want to include any of this, then, you know, I will certainly
Yeah, I
go along
think,
with that.
let's go through this first. Under the city ordinances, the city is urged to examine any and all possibilities to facilitate securing this historic treasure, up to and including possible city ownership and development. Okay. I mean, we're stepping outside, I think, on that sentence. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. I think it's more than just being a mall cop at that point.
We're pointing out that's a possibility under the ordinance.
You're talking about the HDC, the Historic District Commission ordinance, correct? I just want to, because
Right.
you said city ordinances,
Right.
and I want to make sure that we're...
Well, there are other ordinances obviously here that apply, including what the obsolete property situation is.
But that's not what you mean in this paragraph. Because you're talking about, under the city ordinances, the city is urged to examine.
The city may, if it looked at the situation legally right now, may want to step in and put the property up for tax sale. That's not the historic ordinances, that's the other ordinances. And the obsolete property, according to what Owen Roberts said, the obsolete property designation creates some special legal mechanic. That's what it's thinking. I mean, it could be that legally the city would say right now, hey, they haven't really paid taxes in 4 years, we should do something. And maybe they want to put it up for tax sale. That's up for them to decide, not us.
Yeah, I guess that's my question, is do we need to even go as far as to tell them that, or are we just simply saying,
Yeah,
here are
possibility.
items we want you to be aware of, boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to them to act on, discuss, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just take out up to and including possible city ownership and development. Is urged to examine and in all possibilities facilitate securing this historic treasure.
What I'd rather,
Period.
yeah, or just end it with the Historic District Commission would like to voice their concern about this historic treasure and want to make the city council aware of it.
I think I would stop after jeopardy. Therefore, the HCC, under the Historic Resources Ordinance, hereby alerts the city council that it believes the Cobb's Mitchell building is in economic jeopardy,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if you go any further, then you're recommending,
I'm saying you should examine it, but that's fine.
you're recommending that they...
Well, but either way, I mean,
Well-
that's implied there, they should infer that they need to examine it from
Right.
that anyway, so.
Okay, so, we're basically, in this, we're stating that we are not we're acting like we're not aware of any taxes being paid on. I'm a little bit confused about how we're wording the tax issue.
Well, I'm a little confused because we have not been given,
Anything in writing. So that's what I'm trying to say, how do we need to word this?
Well, but we are aware, it's gonna show up in our minutes today when Mike types them up, that he gave us a report on it. So we are aware.
Is it something that we can simply say, it is our understanding that the taxes are still in arrears? That's not all we
it's not just arrears, it's way arrears. And I'm uncomfortable in assuming that this payment was significant.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree either. But
Well,
I guess,
Okay, I just want to make sure that everything is stated in this paragraph is fact, which we can get
Okay.
through freedom of information. So let me read it again. Although the building was purchased by $1 by Mr. White Corporation, in April of 2010, no taxes have been paid on the building in 4 years according to city and Washington County records. That's freedom of information. We have that information. Is that correct?
I don't know, has
Well,
that
there's a-
last payment been filed?
And is that right, that's a good question.
We don't know yet.
And is it technically a tax payment?
Why wouldn't it be if you have a tax invoice and they paid it?
I don't know. That's a question I wish Owen were here. I mean, has it been recorded as a partial tax payment? Can you come in and pay part of your taxes?
Yeah, you can pay anything you want towards them. I mean, they're still in arrears, but it shows intent of them paying.
Once you get in arrears, I'm not sure, unless you are in a signed statement or a consent agreement or something, that they accept partial payments, right?
I can't imagine any municipality not accepting any check written. Right? I mean, if I come in and write a check for $5,000 and $10,000 due,
I don't think that's right, unfortunately, because legally then that puts them off another year. And I believe you'll find that they don't do that. Unless there's a consent agreement.
Maybe.
Good to know what kind of a receipt we
Yeah.
have. I just want to make sure that what we're saying there is we know that information for a fact. I know we can't verify other than what you've said. So I don't know whether we should say, there may
Right,
be a
let's-
verbal contract and there's been some payment made, but we're not clear on the details
Right.
type thing. I just didn't know how much we wanted to get into that.
I just wonder if we can say something as simple as we have concerns as to the
Tax
status
status.
of the tax
Right, the
payments.
delinquent tax status
Yeah.
and, yeah.
I don't think that begins to describe the seriousness of the situation. I think we know that this is more serious than the way that sounds.
I understand that, but as soon as we mention the fact that the taxes are delinquent, I mean, this is still up to city council to kick around. They're the ones that should be checking into this, right?
Right.
I mean, all we're saying is, or maybe we say something, we feel that the council should be looking at the status of the tax payment.
Okay?
In essence, what we're raising is a concern about the delinquent taxes, not about $50,000 specifically owed or $10,000 specifically paid. We just know that there's some delinquency here.
Right, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah, but 4 years is,
Oh, I agree with you, Ed, but
and
if we're...
it- not
if
so
we're
much
making-
the amount
you know,
as I
if we're
am
making a
concerned
statement
about
in
the
writing,
time.
I agree.
But it is fairly common that people stay just barely ahead of the rules and just pay 1 year at a time. And it's
I've been
gonna be
there,
tough.
I've done that.
Right, so it's, you know, but I mean, no, it's gonna be hard for the city council to be concerned about. What they need to be concerned about is this payment plan and, you know, not whatever it is. And whether, you know, having something in writing, when the next payment's due, at what point do we get real concerned, at what point are we, the rules are now catching up with us. It's those questions that I think are a bigger concern.
But everything that we put in here has to, by our mandate, has to fall under the, is this building being protected? That's what we're
right.
saying. I mean, that's our big question.
Right, is it threatened?
Right, is this building threatened? And that, I mean, I guess that's, a lot of this detail, whether they paid their taxes or not, I don't think that threatens the building.
Oh, absolutely it does. Of course it does.
I think them not getting work threatens the building, or not getting
Tax credit.
work done so they can get the tax credit threatens the building.
But that,
I don't know that going on the tax sale threatens that building.
I understand that argument, but legally tying up that ownership situation means that nothing's going to happen on that building until that's resolved.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I don't
So
think anything's going to happen on it anyway, personally, so
I know
that's why I'm saying I don't think it's any worse off.
And it's none of our concern if they were paying their taxes. I mean,
Well, but they could be paying their taxes and not be maintaining the building.
right,
Our drive is that we have to make sure the building does not get further dilapidated or further defunct. Who owns it, whether they pay taxes, what it's used for, quite frankly, isn't necessarily our issue
right?
as far as our mandate. Our mandate is this building being historically preserved? Yeah, integrity. So, so what I'm saying is I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think we're on opposite sides of that. I think my question is, are we saying more than we need to
On the tax issue.
or not?
Although the building was purchased for $1, no taxes have been paid to the building in almost 4 years, according to city and Wexford County records. If we just don't say anything more that it's neither governmental entity have begun tax collection efforts.
My question is, we don't know if any taxes have been paid yet, though, right?
Right.
And we don't know if that's a tax payment we just talked about. So that's my concern. is
Technically, I don't
I
think
really
it's
think,
anything,
I really think we need to be saying we have severe concerns with the,
Serious.
significant concerns with the defunct status, or the default status of the taxes
Delinquent.
being in delinquent, there you go, so
Yeah.
delinquent status of the taxes.
And that first sentence can remain the same, although the building was purchased for $1, we all know that, there's record to that. We
Right.
have significant concerns
Right.
regarding,
Serious,
delinquency of the-
significant concerns, which?
Either one. And then,
Yeah.
I'll try to make copies of that too, if you want to say first.
you know, I think just putting them on notice about this is really what we're trying to do.
We're talking about it, we're aware of it, we want you to be aware of it.
we're concerned. Share in our concerns.
See if I can see it here. Okay.
Just so you know, and I think we've brought this up before, but I think it's important to mention again, these tax credits, both the brownfield and the federal rehabilitation tax credits, I know those two for sure, can be transferred to new owners. So it's a shame that if nothing else, this didn't get, sold to another person.
Potentially, that's what this might spark, right? And we're talking
Right.
maybe to put that on the roll.
Right.
Somehow, by some miracle, something could come about that could, well, you never know.
But I don't know
Sitting on
if
it
it
once.
went through the tax sale method, whether that's transfers them.
I don't know why it wouldn't. Because these are tax credits that are given federally and statewide, and I don't understand
Yeah, I think so.
why they wouldn't. I do think, the thing is though, the new owner would have to submit their plan. If they're not doing the exact same project, they would have to submit their project, and it would still have to be approved by SHPO with alterations. If they said, well, I still want to do this, and I want the elevator paid for, but I want the elevator over here rather than here, they would still have to approve that. But I talked to SHPO about this for a long time, because this was an issue that came up 3 years ago, and So I know it can be done, and I think that's the shame in this whole thing.
Well, I'm not saying we should again, but if we gave everybody a copy of that, would that help?
Yeah, I think I should, I'll kind of read it
Yeah.
together. And I'll be right back.
Thank you. Sorry,
No,
Mike.
that's
I don't,
fine, that's not an inconvenience.
I have a meeting at 6:30 in Marion, so, it is currently.
We don't have to table the officers thing again, right?
Good idea.
Yes, if we can, yeah.
I mean, because we don't have Mark's here, we don't have Glenn's, Dean's salaries.
But
We don't have
we
any
should
more
talk about the
people
officer
than we
thing before the next meeting then, so we can decide how we
Well,
want to do that.
does anybody, I guess I'm just, I guess we can't really talk about it, but. I think it's time for somebody else. You know? Yeah, I mean, I can always be Rear's source, but we need somebody Rear's so we can, you know, for the city's sake.
You're leaving?
Yeah.
Shortly, I heard.
Yes, I have to get.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's, I still support the idea of keeping this memo.
And that's,
Oh, yeah.
that's referenced
That's-
right in.
I think
That's right
it's,
here.
yeah, I still
Attached.
want to make sure we keep
Right,
that.
please reference the attached memo.
All right, so we're gonna also strike out neither government entity had begun collection efforts, aren't we? Or are you gonna leave that, are you suggesting we leave that in? I thought we were gonna,
But we can take it out, it's true. Neither, I mean, the city needs to know that something about the mechanics of what's collected on taxes on this building needs to be looked at. I mean, it's an obvious question. Why did nothing happen here?
yeah, and we know that some of it has to do with the fact that it was an Oprah building. You know, they just got lost,
Mhm.
you know, between the two.
Well, I'm sure
but-
Owen will
See,
explain that in his memo to the council.
yeah, see, I guess I was wondering, I guess I was kind of thinking we said almost, if we said based on this, we kept the first, according to city and Wexford County records, and then we put said based on this, we have serious concerns with the delinquent tax status of the building. I guess, I thought that's what we were saying, and we were taking the rest of this right out of here.
As did I,
Okay,
yeah.
you want to,
So I think take out from neither governmental entity.
according to county records, and then take out all the rest of that, except based on this, we have serious concerns
Correct.
with the, okay.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think the only other thing I would add on this would be, let's see, after your study and watching by the Cadillac Historic District Commission, we are concerned about the future status of the Cobb's Mitchell building, one of the city's most historic local landmarks. There's that local landmarks.
You're saying status instead of future?
That was my thought. Just a small language thing.
Okay.
Because I think what I'm trying to say is not only am I concerned about what's happening in the future, I think that's our, because we're also concerned about right now.
Well, maybe we say that, maybe we're.
Make it more
Status
immediate.
instead of
If
future.
you suggest future, you're kind of giving the impression that there's some time here.
Unless we say
So I think
both,
if we
then we're
say
concerned
status,
about
it's
the
a little more
status.
than-
Status is more than future.
Right, it's more of an immediate
And add the
concern
word local,
after historic.
Yep.
Changing that to status,
The word future.
Mhm.
right, to status instead of future.
although the building was purchased for $1, no taxes have been paid in the building in almost 4 years, according to city and Wexford County records. then we say, based on this, we have serious concerns with the delinquent tax status of the building. Period. That's the end of that paragraph. Then the HDC meeting, which again references that memo, and that the building owners were there, were invited to attend. They said sale price was based on transferable, et cetera, no work permits, so that rest of that paragraph stands.
Correct.
Obviously, the building, which remains unsold, will be less economically feasible without the brownfield tax credit that amounts to 44% of the building's asking sale price. Therefore, the HDC, under the Historic Resources Ordinance, hereby alerts the City Cadillac Council that it believes the Mitchell building is in economic jeopardy.
We're good.
Okay? So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Love your logo, Ed.
I'm sorry to rush. I apologize.
Okay.
And,
Thank you for
it's
taking
okay.
some time.
You
to
do
know
talk
this
about,
out. I like
election
it.
of officers, I would say no.
What?
So both me and Wayne gone.
That's what we do at meetings, right?
Yeah.
All right.
If you're not there, you're getting assigned the
Right.
most challenging.
I feel like, well, okay, we're gonna go ahead and talk about it here for a little bit. Let's just move on to that next item, and I'd like to just discuss election of officers for a second. My concern too is my absence during the winter months. You know, I hated putting this off. I know we were waiting for information on this, and some other things that we'd like to move ahead on. That's part of my concern, but I just feel like it's time for somebody else to step into this position and be the chairperson. So I would welcome anybody that would volunteer for that position. That's what I'm feeling. And if we're not ready, or we're not ready tonight to make that somebody to volunteer, I guess we could table it one more month, so that we have more attendees here. Because again, we're missing two, and now Dean just left, so.
Do we have any indication that either Glenn or Mark would volunteer or bring forward the name of somebody who would be appropriate?
I have no idea.
No,
Because we
there's
just
been no
tabled it.
discussion on it unless they got it in their own head, but.
Yeah, the week we had our January meeting, three people were down there.
Having just talked about it with Dean, I understand and sympathize with his position with as much work as he does professionally with the city, the building department and so forth. He would be in an awkward position perhaps, to chair this group, you know, independently from the city administration, and obviously the citizen boards need that independence. So I understood
I
that.
shouldn't have done, but that's fine. I mean, you know, that's how he does, I understand that.
And you
Would he,
step-
did he indicate he would be vice chair again? Or did he say no on both?
No, he didn't
Okay.
say no to that. Yeah, perhaps,
I don't remember him ever expressing not doing that.
right. Perhaps Mark or Glenn have input on this as well.
Yeah, so I guess we table it again one more month?
Well, I'm certainly not volunteering for anything, so.
You're a big help.
Okay.
Thanks for that input.
Well, is there, I mean, for the folks that are here right now, are we all relatively certain we'll be here next month? I mean, can we say that and then just get some firm yeses? Like, try to maybe send an email this week yet to
Barring
Mark and
any
say,
emergency on
we are
Friday
making
night.
this decision, because that gives us time if we have to.
I
in the
just
same
it was
way.
on.
No, I will be
What is
back
the
because
date of
the
the next
cigar
meeting?
dinner is that Wednesday. And if I'm not
I
back
can-
for that,
It would be May 12th, Monday,
I
May
will
12th.
be dead.
Would be our next appointment,
Right.
or our next meeting.
Right.
Well, I know I'll be here,
Like Jill, barring an unforeseen, but I plan to be here.
and we don't know about anybody else.
But we can work on getting those commitments now.
I think that's a-
rather than
that's a
wait
good point,
to
Erin.
3 days
Right,
before. Let's
yeah,
just
yeah,
a reminder,
let's-
hey,
Right.
we need everyone here.
Right.
Okay.
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 All right, let's go ahead and leave that then again for another month. So let's talk about, real quickly, the preservation workshop that you had in Manistee, and we will discuss workshops at the next meeting, okay? So that gives us some time, but I'd like you to go
Thank
ahead
you.
and tell
Real
everybody
quick,
what
I
you did.
attended a preservation workshop in Manistee Saturday morning,
Where was it held?
City Hall.
Oh, okay.
City Hall. So anyway, basically it was on weatherization, basically weatherization and restoring double hung windows. And that was basically it. Attendance, I was disappointed because they had advertised it, said limited seating, get your thing in. I got there was easily seating for 30 people, and there were 12.
Oh,
And
wow.
me from here and the person from Grand Rapids. Quite frankly, the PowerPoint was not well done.
Oh, really?
It just wasn't.
Who did it? Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, anyway, but having said that, I brought brochures. They list different workshops, something we can talk about at a later thing, looking at where we can apply to possibly get some financial help. Because to bring someone up from downstate, you're going to put them up for the night. It's not free, but that's kind of it for that. I don't know if you have any questions for me on it,
And we
but
can
I
talk
just
about
wanted
it
you to
later.
have the brochure to see the type of things
Yeah, and you
that
said
they have available.
they did
This was a weather,
workshop?
it was actually weatherization, and it was
Two.
window restoration, but it was primarily just double hung.
Double hung windows.
Just double hung.
They made a specific request.
Right, right. Second thing, I just real quick want to just hand out, we talked before about in the next district newsletter, which I think I have a lot of literature. I think I've got some things I can put in and get one together. But this here, I just wanted to get everybody thinking about a questionnaire. Those can be in it, they don't need to be in it, but maybe amongst ourselves, if you have questions you want me to add, we'll just add to it,
Okay.
you see. And this is just to get the thought going so we can include it with the newsletter. You know, my thinking is not to have a whole lot of questions, but it's up to you folks. But if nothing else, just take that, add to it, subtract from it, but just get the thoughts going.
Okay, and we have time to discuss this and finalize it at our next meeting before the newsletter goes out?
Yeah.
So you're
I
going to send the
can-
newsletter out like at the
Well,
end
I
of May?
send it in May.
Okay,
I'll just plan on
all
doing
right.
that. I'll plan
That's
on doing
kind of
that.
what, that looks good, Mike. All right,
So that'll
great.
work.
Thank you.
Real quick, Gwen, or Aaron, had talked about smartphone technology, QR codes. I listened to about a half-hour webinar called Gov2A. Obviously, the city does not have an IT department. There's nothing in the budget for it. But it was really an interesting webinar to just see what is out there, what capabilities they have. I personally do not own a smartphone. I'm always around people that have them. So I
I had a dumb phone.
So I just ask people, hey, look this up for me, would you? And it gets done. But it's interesting. Obviously, these are things that in the future, when the city looks at their IT, and I mean, we don't have an IT person.
Yeah.
And, you know, we do outsource some stuff, but it's interesting what's out there. Okay?
And I'll just say it again, we do not need anything fancy or a budget for a QR. We can do it ourselves. I can do it in 3 minutes. And then it would link to our website
Right.
from wherever.
I think it's a great idea. We appreciate it. All right, sounds
That's
good.
all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Does anybody have anything else? Any other comments? Thank you, everybody, for coming. All right. Well,
Motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn. I motion that we adjourn.
All right. Second.
Or
Perfect. I'll get minutes
Thank you.
together, and
Okay.
we'll go from there. I'm going to try and get the minutes together